Good afternoon. This is the Asylum Answers Show. I'm Brian Manning. I used to be an asylum officer with the government, but now I'm an asylum lawyer, and my law firm, Political Asylum Lawyers, is what it's called. Well, we help immigrants all over the country to secure their future in America through asylum. And this is where I answer your questions about asylum. So let me know what questions you have. What do you want to know about winning asylum in America? But look, first of all, how are you doing? How are we doing on Friday afternoon? For my friends on the West Coast, we have a lot of clients and followers like in California, Washington State. It's still the morning for you guys. You're almost to the afternoon. You're almost on the home stretch, closing out the week, the work week, right? Um, Hope you have some good plans for the weekend. Hope that you can relax this weekend. But right now, I want to take this time to answer your questions about winning asylum in America. But look, before you start dropping those questions in the comment box in the chat, say hello. Let me know where you're watching from. Love to see where this community is at, where we are supporting each other all across the United States. So my law firm, we're based in Texas, but it doesn't really matter where we're based because we help immigrants all over the country. It doesn't matter where you are. We help people in every state. So it doesn't matter where you are. Hello, hello, good afternoon. For those who just joined, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, lots of folks jumping on. We got Pixie Kitty Cat, excuse me, Lulun. We got Paolo Vitor. Good morning, good afternoon. Good to see you guys on the Asylum Answers Show. YouTube, where you at? There you are. Hey, YouTube. Fatmata, I'm glad to have you here. Thanks for the follow. I appreciate you following. Thank you for the bless you, question marks. Appreciate that. Thanks for the bless you, Nikki. Appreciate that. Ramroop, good morning, question marks. Thanks for following. Instagram, how you doing? Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok. By the way, before I go any further, for those of you on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn, I got to be honest with you. The best place uh, to engage with me is YouTube. Okay, YouTube is where I have all my best content. I've got like super detailed trainings and tutorials on YouTube that I think are really going to help you out. Okay, the YouTube channel is called Political Asylum Lawyers. That's the name of my law firm, and that is the name of my YouTube channel. So if you really want to get all my best stuff, all my best trainings, go to YouTube. Okay, go to YouTube and search for Political Asylum Lawyers. Good afternoon. For those who just joined, hey Harry, Twin Girl, Daniel, thanks for being here. Karam Dolger says, "Hi, I'm from Michigan." Nice, Michigan. You know, I don't think I've ever been to Michigan. I've only just crossed through the airport in Detroit, but I think that's it. But I hear there's some lovely places in Michigan, some nice spots. I do want to visit and get to know it sometime. Nice. Who else we got? I want to know where you guys are watching from this afternoon. Where are you at? We got Karam in Michigan. Uh, TikTok, where are you at? Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn. Good afternoon. Hey, for Pennsylvania, PA says Emmy on TikTok. Nice. For those of you who just joined, I'm Brian Manning. I was an asylum officer previously, but now I'm an asylum lawyer, which means that my law firm we help immigrants all over the country, including Pennsylvania, including Michigan, to secure their future in the United States through asylum. Look, I want to answer your questions, so you can go ahead and start leaving in the comments any questions that you have. What do you want to know about winning asylum in America? And I'm going to answer your questions. But look, first, I'm going to repeat something that I said yesterday at the beginning because I don't know if the names I'm seeing here, I'm not sure if you guys were on yesterday when I said this. I made an announcement yesterday. I think it's a pretty big deal. What I announced was this: my law firm is now offering a money back guarantee on our Mandamus service. What is that? This is the lawsuit that we file against the federal government where we're asking a judge in federal court to tell USCIS they need to do their job and they need to give you your stalled asylum interview. So if you've been applied for asylum with USCIS and you've been waiting for years for your interview, that's not okay. They're supposed to do their job quickly. And when they don't do that, when they don't act in a reasonable time, you can sue them. And that's what we do. It's called a mandamus lawsuit. It's a weird word, I know. And it's an incredibly powerful tool to get your interview. Okay. And we have done this, I think, around 200 times over the last 2 years, more or less. And it works really well. In fact, we haven't lost a single one of these cases yet. Look, that does not guarantee that we're going to keep winning them. Past results don't guarantee future success. Your mileage may vary, as they say. Um, but what it does show, I think, is that it's a very powerful tool. It can work really well. And I'm so confident that it will work for certain people. You got to qualify. There's like terms and conditions. You got to meet the qualifications. But I am so confident that it will work that we're offering a money back guarantee where if it doesn't work, if we don't get your interview scheduled, we'll give you your money back. So it's literally risk free. Okay. Um, I think the sooner that you have your interview, the better your chances for success. All right. I think that you have a higher chance of winning the sooner you get your interview. So if you've been waiting for years, don't wait for years more to come. Get this sorted out now. Talk with an asylum lawyer now to see if it makes sense to do this in your case, to sue the government in what's called a Mandamus lawsuit, to move your stalled case forward. Okay. We're offering a money back guarantee. I don't know if it's going to last. It's kind of unconventional. Like not many immigration lawyers will do this, but that's how confident I am that we can help you with this. We're good at this. I think we're great at this. We know what we're doing, and we've had a lot of success. We've helped a lot of people to get their interview after they've been waiting for a long time. So if you want to talk with us about that, we would love to talk. I'm going to put this in the chat where you can go to schedule a consultation. Winasylum.com. WINASYLUM.com, winasylum.com. That's where you can go if you want to schedule a consultation. We want to get to know you, learn about your situation, talk to analyze your situation, okay, and tell you whether we think that we're in a position to help you. If we think that we can help you, we're going to tell you how. We're going to explain exactly what we'll do to help give you the strongest case possible, the best chances to win your asylum case. Okay. Yep. Nice. I'm Brian Manning for the bunch you just joined. I'm Brian Manning, and I am an asylum lawyer. I previously was an asylum officer with the government, but now I'm an asylum lawyer, and my law firm is called Political Asylum Lawyers, and we help immigrants all over the country, all over, to secure their future in America through asylum. So, what's going on, and what do you want to know about winning asylum in the United States? Best J Sell says, lawyer, have an appointment in the court for New York City, but I'm afraid. Okay, yeah, I understand. It's intimidating. Do you have a lawyer? I hope you have a lawyer. I think that will help you to probably feel a little bit less afraid, at least, because you'll be oriented. You'll understand what's going on. You can talk strategy. You can talk in more detail about the risks, the things that you're afraid of. Right? A lawyer can talk you through that. Okay. Nice. Nikki says they're in Maryland. Nice. Good to see you, Nikki. Thanks for being with us. Thanks for the follow, Nikki. D, remote work. Thank you for following. By the way, those of you on Instagram and TikTok and Facebook and YouTube, share this live. Go ahead, if you don't mind, share it, because there might be some people out there that could benefit from some of the answers I'm going to give today, some of the things I'm going to tell you about winning asylum in America. And the more people that know about that, the better. So go, if you don't mind, share this. I'd appreciate you sharing it. Yes, nice. Thank you. Afternoon, sir. Kamboj Shami. Good afternoon. Good to see you. How are you? Where are you joining us from, Kamboj? How's my day? Going pretty well, thank you. You? Where are you at? Where are you joining us from today? Let me know. Thanks. Can Haitians get citizenship? Joseph wants to know. Yes. Yeah. There's no reason Haitians couldn't get citizenship. Yes. Well, I mean, not just because you're Haitian, but you have to, if you qualify for something, you won't be held out because you're Haitian. So one of the ways to citizenship is through asylum. People, let me address it like this. The question is this: where does asylum take you? Once you win asylum, do you just sort of stay an asylee, as it's called, forever, or what's next in your immigration journey? So look, you can, if you want to, do nothing and just remain someone with asylum status, which we call an asylee, but that's not a good idea. You want to move as quickly as you can toward the highest form of status, the most stable status that comes with the most rights and most protections, which is U.S. citizenship. So after winning asylum, you can apply for U.S. permanent residency, also known as getting your green card. That's the next step after asylum is permanent residency. I encourage you to apply for that right away after you win asylum. After your case gets approved and you get your green card, you get your permanent residency, you have to wait 4 years. And then after 4 years, you can apply for U.S. citizenship. So I encourage you to keep moving down that path as quickly as possible to get your citizenship as soon as possible, because that's the best, that's the safest, and it comes with the most rights and benefits. So that's what you want to do. Don't just hang out with asylum. Look, it's easier to get, the main thing is it's easier to get deported if you just have asylum, and then it's easier to get deported with just asylum than it is with permanent residency. And it's easier with permanent residency than it is with citizenship. With citizenship, you can't get deported unless the government strips your citizenship away by alleging that you lied to get your citizenship. Okay. So move down that path as quickly as possible. All right. Would processing times from pending asylum status to green card marriage take longer than average? You mean like because, oops, sorry guys. You mean, I clicked the wrong button, and I was trying to answer questions on TikTok, and I accidentally like opened up TikTok, and it was, loud. I'm back. Do you mean like, would it take longer to do your marriage case because you have or had a pending asylum case? No. No. The fact that you had a pending or have a pending asylum case will not affect your a marriage-based case, the timing of it. No. Okay. We got Sandua says Houston, nice H-town. So my law firm is based in Houston, but we help people all over the country. Doesn't matter where you are. All right. Hi, Brian Mann says R Loverboy 23. Nice. Hi, good to see you. Glad you're with us. What Reagan wants to know: what happens when you have a pending pending asylum case at the same time an employer has filed for you? Let me try to address it like this, and you can tell me if I'm getting at what you're asking. The question is this: can you have a pending asylum case and then have an employer petition for you to get status based on employment? Like, can you have those two things at the same time? And the answer is yeah, you can. The employment-based status is tricky, okay? A lot of people think that they're going to qualify for that, but then they don't. And a huge mistake is when people say, oh, my employer is going to petition for me, therefore I'm going to go ahead and withdraw my asylum claim. Don't do that. Don't withdraw your asylum claim unless and until you get a green card in your hand based on employment or marriage or something else. Once you get a green card, then you can stop your asylum case, but don't stop until then, because you never know what's going to happen. But look, generally speaking, yeah, you can have both those processes going on at the same time, seeking asylum and seeking like a green card based on employment, or other even non-permanent status based on employment. One doesn't normally affect the other. I can say with confidence that all those other processes will not affect your asylum claim. Okay. You should talk with your other lawyer who's helping you with your employment-based case about whether the asylum case might affect that other case. Okay. Yellow Square wants to know on TikTok, what is the process of applying for asylum? Good question. The question is this. So what's the process for applying for asylum? Look, first, it depends on whether you are going to have a case in immigration court or with the asylum office. If you came to the border and you didn't have a visa, you're almost certainly in deportation proceedings. Like if you've ever gotten a letter that says, hey, you need to show up in immigration court for a hearing, then you're in deportation proceedings. And you will apply with the court. You'll fill out the application, which is called Form I-589. Now you get that off of the USCIS website. You can Google USCIS Asylum Form I-589. And for immigration court, there's no option right now to do it online or electronically. You got to do it on paper, and you can mail it or take it in person to the immigration court where your case is pending and submit it. For the asylum office, which is mostly people who came on a visa, that is a place where you can do it online, thankfully, and you should do it online. You can do it on paper and mail it in with you if you want with USCIS, but I strongly recommend that you do it online. You have to go to uscis.gov and create an account through what's called My USCIS, or you can go to myuscis.gov, create an account, and then fill out the application form online and apply online. So that's how you apply for asylum. All right. I'm 19. My love says I'm 19. I have an interview coming up October 7 for asylum. Nice. My love, where's your interview? What office? Uh, which Assam office is it in? I'd be curious to know. And by the way, I want to know this also. Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. Is there who else has an asylum interview already scheduled? I want to know. Let me hear from you in the chat. If you've already got an asylum interview scheduled with a firm date, let me know in the chat what month it's scheduled for and what asylum office it's scheduled for. I'd love to hear from you. All right, let me know. All right. So this question or this person, my love says yeah, my love. Look, guys, on TikTok, my love says they called me 3 weeks after applying and they have their interview already coming up in October. So the point is, it happened really fast for my love. And it sounds like my love over here is surprised by this, the fact that they applied and then 3 weeks later they got their interview notice. Um, so the question is this. So is it normal to apply for asylum and then get your interview notice like just a few weeks after applying, or does that mean that your case is being handled, differently? Maybe there's a problem. Should you be scared? Actually, it's normal now. This is surprising to most people because everyone knows of someone, right, in your community, your family, your friends, somebody who has been waiting for their interview for 3 years, 7 years, 10 years, right? There's a huge backlog with literally over 1 million people waiting for their assignment interview, many of them for multiple years. So it's surprising when you hear, like, actually, if you apply right now, there's a good chance you're going to get your interview right away within weeks of applying. Why is that? Long story, but it is what it is. It's true that it's happening now. Not everyone, but a majority of people who have applied in the last few months have gotten their interview right away within like 2 or 3 months of applying. Some of them within just a couple of weeks. So, excuse me. So you got to be ready. You got to be ready. I hope you have an asylum lawyer who's helping you. And I hope more than anything, the most important thing is that I hope you're preparing. I hope you're ready to do a practice interview, a full scale mock interview, because that's the best way to prepare. But you've got to be ready to go because it's happening quickly. And it doesn't mean it's a bad thing for your case. It's normal. It's the norm now. Hey, my love, if you're still here on TikTok, what I want you to do is I encourage you, I invite you to go check out this website because look, there's time for this. There's time for us to help you. If you want to get help and you want to do the number one thing, the thing that I think is the absolutely most helpful thing that you can do to increase your chances for success is preparing through a mock interview. If you want to learn about how we can help you with that, I want you to go to asylumprep.com, ASYLUMPREP.com. So that's asylumprep.com. I'm going to put it in the comments. You have to act fast though, my love. Like we don't have a lot of time, right? You said your interview is, would you say October 7th or 9th? You got to go now. Oh, same with Nikki. Nikki says October in Maryland. Okay, Nikki, if it's in October, we got to go now. I want you to go to asylumprep.com and see what you think. Read the page. Well, look, it's a very long web page. It's super long. At the top, though, there's a video. It's actually a pretty long video, too, but you can do one or the other. You can just watch the video, or you can just read the text, or you can do both if you want to. But the point is, there's lots of information on that webpage, asylumprep.com, about how I think we can help you with this very special service that we've only been offering for a few weeks that I think you're going to like. It's called the Mock Asylum Interview Experience. It's preparation. It's preparation offered as a standalone service so that you don't have to hire us for full scale representation. You don't have to pay us the $15,000, $16,000 that some immigration clients pay us. Instead, you can get our help for a fraction of that cost. You can get our help with the preparation, which is the most important thing, for just $3,000. Okay. Okay, it's a little bit less actually. It's $2,997, so almost $3,000. Same thing, right? But that is, yeah, we have time to do it. For those of you who have the interview in October, we've got time. Oh man, Bissy Legacy says their interview is September 30th. What's today? The 26th is Friday. 27th. It is too late. It is too late, Bissy. Bissy, the best thing you can do is we need at least 5 business days before someone's interview for them to for us to be able to help them with this service. Bissy, just go to, you're already on my YouTube channel. Just go to the playlist that says Asylum interview and just watch all the videos there. That's the best thing you can do now with just a couple days remaining. Okay. Uh, yeah, Bissy Legacy says, I wish I could have found you before. I do too, Bissy. I do too. Um, September 30th. Yeah, unfortunately, we won't have time to do the mock asylum interview experience with you. But go to, yeah, on YouTube, go to the playlist that says asylum interview and just watch all those videos. Okay. All right. What questions do you have about winning asylum in the United States, my friends? My this community. Nice. Uh, what do you think of going from F1 to TPS and then to asylum for Ethiopia? FXG wants to know. If you're afraid of being harmed in your country, then it definitely is worth talking to an asylum lawyer about whether it makes sense to apply. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Um, I mean, to get to your, I think what you're trying to ask about is like F1, TPS. Is it possible? Like, is that a route that you could go through? Yeah, sure, sure. I need to like know details though about your immigration history and status, but generally speaking, sure. It's a thing that can be done. Okay, yeah. So my love said Tustin, California. Your interview, yeah. So that's the Los Angeles Asylum Office. Um, we've had a lot of cases there. We've had a lot of success there. We should talk. I hope you'll go to asylumprep.com. Okay, go to asylumprep.com. ASYLUMPREP.com. Pixie Kitty Cat says, "Hi, I'm from Ukraine. My husband was put on the wanted list because he doesn't want to go to war. Вот, привет, Pixie Kitty. Раньше говорю по-русски, сейчас, к сожалению, нет, и украинский нет, к сожалению. But I spent a little time in Ukraine. Pixie Kitty Cat, I spent a month on the Sea of Azov near Melitopol and a few days in Kiev, and then I studied a few times in Russia. So and I minored in Russian in university. But I wish I knew Ukrainian. Ukrainian is beautiful. Ukrainian is, it's a beautiful language. Yeah, we should talk, Pixie Kitty Cat. We've helped people from Ukraine, and I know, as I was saying, I've spent time in Ukraine. We know cases from Eastern Europe well. So we should talk. Go to winasylum.com if you want to schedule a consultation for you and or your husband, okay? Ihab Eliafe says, do you have an office in Tampa, Florida? No, but it doesn't matter. We help you there. We help people in Tampa. We help clients all over the country. It doesn't matter where you are, okay? So definitely don't let that stop you. We help people all over, including we have lots of clients in Tampa. So call us, okay? Or actually, the best thing to do, honestly, is go. Just don't call us, but go to winasylum.com consultations. I'm typing it now. Winasylum.com. I'm gonna put it in the chat. Winasylum.com. 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 That's where you can schedule a consultation with us. Winasylum.com. Nice. Bissy Legacy says, thank you. I'm watching all your videos. You're awesome. Thank you. Appreciate the kind words, Bissy. Good luck. Go get them. Study hard. Study hard these next few days. And good luck. Okay. Oh, nice. Mogdog says, I was granted asylum a week ago. It was easy. I was surprised. I'm from Russia. Thank you. Well, that's good. I'm glad to hear it. And you're lucky because for most people, it's much harder than they expect. For most people, the asylum interview is much harder than they expect. So the question is this. So at your asylum interview, can you just kind of like show up and, explain yourself and tell your story? No, absolutely not. Look, the asylum interview is much, much harder than people expect. You can't just sort of show up and tell your story. It's a very structured interview where the officer has specific questions they want to ask you, and they're going to ask these questions. And when you try to answer, they're going to cut you off. They're going to say, okay, stop. And they're going to change topics frequently. And they're going to switch around from different time periods and talk about things out of order. There's tactics that they use to test you and probe you that make it hard. And the fact also is that it's true that There's a lot of officers who, in my opinion, are anti-immigrant and are just looking for an excuse to deny people. And they'll play games with you and make it hard and try to get you to make mistakes. So they'll have a justification to deny you. Okay. So that is, yeah. So no, it's not easy. It's much harder than people expect. You've got to be prepared. The preparation is key. Practice is key. Practice for your interview is the most important thing you can possibly do to increase your chances for asylum success. Borderless Commerce says, is there a reason you changed your mandamus lawsuits from 3 years to 5 years? I recall that you used to do 3 years a few months back. It was more than, I mean, it was like 6 months ago maybe or so we changed it. Yeah, we changed it because of what we were seeing, the way that the government was responding, and our strategy we decided was such that 5 years makes more sense. So yeah, we do 5 years now. All right. What do you want to know about winning asylum in the United States? Kins wants to know, is it possible to claim asylum after being in the U.S. for 3 years during your removal proceedings? Good question. The question is this. Can you win asylum if you're applying multiple years after you came here? Let's say 3 years, and you're in deportation proceedings in immigration court. Is it even possible to win asylum under this circumstance if you want to maybe apply now? And the answer is maybe. Look, there are people that are able to overcome the 1-year filing deadline to get around it, basically by showing the judge or the officer that they qualify for one of the 2 categories of exceptions. It's tricky. This is a complicated area within asylum law. And so for anyone has applied or is considering applying after they've been here for 1 year already, you really need to talk with an asylum lawyer. But look, in immigration court, even if you are barred from getting asylum because of the 1-year filing deadline, if you convince the judge that you're at real risk, you may be able to get another form of protection that's similar to asylum, but it's not quite as beneficial. It's not quite as good. But it allows you to at least stay here and to work legally. Now, it doesn't guarantee that you get to stay here, but it gives you a chance to possibly be able to stay here. It's called withholding of removal. Okay. And the 1-year filing deadline does not apply to that. So it's worth considering. I mean, if you fear, look, the bottom line is if you fear being harmed in your country, you should talk with an asylum lawyer about whether it makes sense to apply for asylum in your case. All right. Nice. What do you want to know about winning asylum in the United States? Nice. Over on YouTube, we got Bissy Legacy saying, congratulations, Magdag. Huge win. I'm also from Russia. Oh, вот. Хорошо. Отлично. I have this video, you guys. I have for YouTube from Russia and Pixie Kitty from Ukraine. I have this video, a 1-minute short on YouTube where I'm speaking Russian, and it looks like I'm super fluent, but really what I was doing, truth be told, is I had just use Google Translate, and I would like read and memorize one sentence and then say it and then pause, and then go read the next sentence and memorize it for a few minutes and then pause, and then read it and then pause. So, but it's just cut together where it looks like I'm super fluent. But I used to be kind of fluent. Never super fluent. But I love Russian. It's a lovely language, and I love many things about Russia as well. Missy Legacy says, I like your Russian, Brian. Yeah, I like to think I have a good Russian accent. It's better than my Spanish accent, than my Spanish language accent. That's for sure. Can I apply for a green card before 1 year after granted asylum? Yeah. So the question is this: after you win asylum, when should you apply for your green card? When can you apply for it? Look, so it's true that you cannot actually be granted your green card. They can't approve that application until you've been in the United States for 1 year after having won asylum, a year after having won asylum. However, you can apply right after you win, the next day. Why would you want to do that? Why would you apply right away if they can't approve you until you've been here for a year? You would do it, and I recommend that you do it to get your place in line. Because look, there's a backlog, there's a big line. And last I checked, it was taking USCIS something like 18 months on average to adjudicate, to like pick up your application, look at it, and make a decision. So let's say you went asylum yesterday. You apply for your green card today. 18 months from now, they pick it up and they go, okay, oh, wait, this person didn't provide evidence they've been here for a year after winning asylum because they hadn't been here for a year at the time they applied. So what do? They send you a request for evidence, an RFE, saying, hey, please provide us evidence that you've been in the US for at least 1 year after having won asylum. And so you do that, you provide the evidence, and you win your case. You get your green card. So what you're doing is you're moving the case faster, because if you're to wait from right now for 1 year, then and then you apply, then who knows what the wait time will be at that time. It might be 18 months from that time. It might be 18 months from 1 year from now that you have to still wait. So by applying now, you're getting in the queue now. Okay, that's why I recommend that you do it now. Oh, interesting question. BC Legacy says, Brian, do asylum officers read our messages here? Maybe. Yeah, you have to assume they do. They do check. It's good. It's a good one. The question is this: so are asylum officers watching these YouTube lives that we're doing and reading the chat, reading the comments on YouTube and TikTok and Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram? Maybe. Yeah, you have to assume they are. You should proceed as if they are. This is public, right? You have to assume they are, in the same way that you need to assume that the government USCIS is reading your public-facing Facebook page and your Instagram and your TikTok. If it's set to public, they can see it, and sometimes they do search. So yeah, you should never say anything online, whether it's on in a chat in this YouTube live with me or anywhere else online, that you don't want that you don't feel comfortable saying to an asylum officer's face, because yeah, they might see it. So yeah, that's something to be aware of. Look, honesty is the best policy. Always be open and honest. That's always my advice. But of course, there's things that if you're just thinking out loud and you haven't thought through it yet, that you might say something dumb that you later regret. So don't do that. Be careful what you say in the chat on these lives and and anywhere else. All right. Yeah. You got to assume the government's aware of things, or could become aware of things that you say, and they know your digital trail for public facing stuff, especially. All right. Shajid Shah says, the officer gave me a call out notice after the interview, but didn't tell me how long it's going to take to receive the decision in the mail. What should I do if I don't receive the mail after 2 weeks have passed? Good question. The question is this: what should you do if you are waiting for your asylum decision after your interview for it to come in the mail, and it takes a long time? Like, look, at your interview, they tell you whether you need to come back in 2 weeks to pick it up in person, the decision in person, or whether instead they're going to mail it to you. If they're going to mail it to you, they won't promise you a timeline. They won't say it's going to be there in 2 weeks. But if it doesn't come in a month, I would say the 1 month mark, I would send an email to the asylum office saying, hey, I have my interview on X date. I haven't got my decision yet. Could you please let the officer know that I am ready to provide any information or anything else they might need in order to conclude my case? By the way, is it possible to let me know when I could expect to receive the decision? Sometimes that email is enough to get them to act, to remind the officer, hey, I need to deal with this case. And they'll sometimes do it. So I would do that, okay? Other than that, there's not a lot you can do unless you applied for asylum a long time ago, several years ago, and now you recently had your interview, now you're waiting like over a month for your decision. Then you could consider suing the government to force them to give you your decision. But that's only if you applied. If you applied for asylum, like I think that for me, the minimum is like 5 years ago or more, then you'd be in a good position, I think, to sue to force the decision. Okay? All right. What do you want to know about winning asylum in America? Oh, nice. Nobody. Good to see you here. It's been, I don't think you were been on the last couple lives, have you? Or maybe 2 lives ago you were on. Does 1 year filing deadline apply to you if you've been to another country for some time after leaving your country? Yes. The 1 year filing deadline though is did you file for asylum within 1 year of your most recent arrival to the United States? So if you were in your country, you fled and you went to some other country for like 2 years, and then you came to the United States. I mean, the fact that you were in some other country has nothing to do with the 1 year filing deadline. All the 1 year filing deadline is looking at is, did you file for asylum within 1 year of your most recent arrival to the United States? It's all the 1 year filing deadline is looking at. Okay. Um, now, but the fact that you went to another country does implicate, is relevant to this question of uh, what's called firm resettlement. So the question is this: so what is firm resettlement, and what does it mean for your asylum case? So look, if after leaving your country, fleeing your country, you were physically present in another country, not the US, but some other country, we call that a third country. If you were physically present in a third country, and while you were physically present there, you had permanent residency there, or what's considered an offer to get permanent residency, then you can't get asylum in the United States. You're barred from asylum in the United States under what's called the firm resettlement bar, unless there are exceptions to it, but they're pretty limited. Okay. And the idea is like, look, you were in some other country after you were safe because you fled your country. You were in this other country and you had the right to stay there permanently. So why did you need to come here? We don't understand. Why would you come here? Why do we have to deal with you and take you in when you could have just been fine in this other country where you could have stayed permanently? So why should we take you in? That's the idea. And it's tough. It does keep a lot of people from getting asylum. And there is some gray area around what counts as an offer for permanent residency. Well, there's gray area around what permanent residency means, what it is, and then what counts also as an offer to get permanent residency. So it's a tricky area of law. So if you were physically present in another country before coming to the United States and you had some kind of long-term status there, immigration status there, you should definitely talk with an asylum lawyer about being prepared to address this. All right. Um, here's a question on YouTube from AAAA. I heard USCIS usually rejects affirmative asylum cases filed after a 1 year deadline, even with exceptions, and refers them to court. Do late filers still have a chance with the asylum office? The question is this: is it true that USCIS just out of hand as a policy denies any case that was filed after 1 year in the United States? No, it's not true. You can win asylum at the United States by establishing an exception to the 1 year filing deadline and proving the rest of your case. It's not true that USCIS just sees, oh, they filed more than 1 year after being in the United States, then we're just going to deny them, or we're going to send their case to immigration court automatically. No, that's not true. It's not true. They'll give you your interview just like normal, and they will ask you questions at your interview about the filing to see if you possibly qualify for an exception. So it's still possible. We still win. We win cases, including at USCIS, for people that filed after 1 year, but we convince the officer that they qualify for one of the exceptions to the 1 year filing deadline. So it's still possible. All right. Good question. Timotheus Terra says, hi Brian, if I'm being granted asylum, or I'm being granted asylum, if the situation in my country changes and the U.S. government decides it's no longer that I no longer have there's no longer future persecution in my country, will it affect my asylee status? So the question is this: what happens if you win asylum, but then conditions change in your country in a way that makes it look like, maybe you're not really at risk anymore? Could the US government here say, hey, you don't need asylum anymore, and take it away from you and send you home? Look, it's possible. It's possible, but it's really unlikely to happen. I'm not aware of any circumstance under which the US government has said, oh, we decided that now that certain country, that the government changed, and therefore anyone who got asylum based on being afraid of that government because they were like the political opposition, that they should have their asylum status taken away from them. I've never seen that happen as like a policy. I think the chances of it happening to you are very low, but it is a reason that you want to move as quickly as possible from asylee to permanent resident. So I recommend then that you apply for your green card, your permanent residency, right after you win asylum. Like, the sooner the better. The next day you can do it. It's just another reason. There's several reasons for why I think you should move as quickly down that immigration path as possible, and this is just another one of them. All right. Uh, Borderless Commerce applied in April 2024. No interview yet. Should I file for Mandamus or just wait? With this admin, things feel tighter daily. What's the smarter move? I do not think you're in a good position to have success with the Mandamus lawsuit. Having waited 1 year or a year and a half, I do not think you're in a good position. No, I would not file a Mandamus lawsuit. In my law firm right now, for us to take a Mandamus lawsuit, the minimum is 5 years. 5 years, we think you're in a good position for success. So, but borderless commerce, there's a lot we can still do to help you. If you want to feel like you're making progress on your case and establish the relationship with us and start this thing out, we can still help you right now. We can help you with what we call an asylum roadmap, which is basically fighting your case on paper. Okay, it's the filing we do to show the officer ahead of time how you meet all the asylum eligibility requirements. And we'll do it now. We'll file it now. And if it takes a long time to get your interview, then you can update the information, some of the evidence and country conditions information later if necessary. Okay. And we can do preparation now. We can do the practice interview. We can do the mock asylum interview experience now. And the thing is, we record the practice sessions. The 2 practice sessions that we do are recorded, both the video and the audio, and we make transcripts and AI generated summaries of those so that you can keep benefiting from them up until the day of your interview, no matter when that occurs. So it doesn't matter whether your interview is 2 weeks from now, 2 months from now, 2 years from now, or even further down the road, because you're going to have access to these preparation materials that we do with you, and you can keep benefiting from them no matter when your interview is. Okay. All right. If my father's a politician, does my asylum case fall on persecution based on political opinion, even if I'm not involved in politics at all? Interesting, Shajid. So the question is this. Is your case going to be characterized and treated as an asylum case based on political opinion if you've got family members that are very involved in politics, like say a parent that's like even a high profile politician, and you're afraid of being harmed in your country, does that mean that you've got a political opinion case? Not necessarily. What matters for an asylum case is the perspective or the motivation of the persecutors. So what we do is we look at the bad guys, the people who want to harm you, who you're afraid of. We look at them and we say, what is it that's causing them to want to harm you? If it's because they don't like your politics, then it's a political opinion case. If it's because they don't like your religion, then it's a religion case. If it's because they don't like the fact that your dad is a prominent politician from the other party, it could be political opinion. If they ascribe to you those same political opinions, they think, oh, her dad has these opinions, as the guy's daughter, she probably feels the same way, and we hate her because of that too. Accordingly, that would be political opinion. But it could be because of the relationship that you share with your father. It could be they really want to harm your father, and a good way to do that would be to hurt you. That would really be a way to get at your father, right? Well, then that would not be a political opinion case, but rather it would be something called membership in a particular social group, it's weird. I know it sounds tricky. It's complicated. It is complicated. But what I'm saying is there could be multiple reasons for this, or multiple kinds of cases. And it really comes down to what the persecutors are thinking and their motivations for targeting you for harm. Okay. BC Legacy says, Brian, if an asylum applicant's evidence was destroyed by the authorities and they only have a couple of medical records left, can their credible testimony alone be enough for approval? So the question is this: can you win asylum if you've got weak evidence? Like, let's say you've only got, a couple documents that kind of back up your case. Can you still win? And the answer is absolutely yes. Look, actually, you can win without any evidence whatsoever. In fact, asylum officers are explicitly taught that you can win asylum without evidence as long as your testimony, what you say on the day of your interview, is detailed, consistent, and plausible. That's the legal standard from a court case. If your testimony is detailed, consistent, and plausible, that can be enough by itself to win asylum, even without any evidence whatsoever. So, I mean, look, can evidence help you? Sure, yeah. If you can get documents or other types of evidence that back up what you're saying and that support your case, then great, you should do that. But it's not the end of the world if you can't. Don't worry, okay? You can still win without it. You just got to do a great, it makes your testimony all the more important. You got to do a great job with your testimony. But yeah, it's possible. That's nice. BC Legacy says, hey, Brian, do you have a thank you or donation button where viewers could contribute for your time answering questions like on YouTube? Oh, no, man. No, I get paid. Look, I like answering questions, and on YouTube, it's fun for me to come on here. It's meaningful for me to engage with people. But also people hire me because of this, because I come on here and I add value. I give people actual value that helps them with their case. And a lot of them go on to hire me because of that, because they think, oh, that guy seems like he knows what he's talking about, and he's nice enough to share some things. So I'm being taken care of. You don't have to donate to me. People are going to hire me because of this live, because I'm showing them that I care about people and I know what I'm talking about, and I explain how we do things. So people are going to hire us because they see that we know what we're talking about and we add value to their lives, to their cases. So even if they don't hire us, but some of them will. So thank you for asking about a donation or contribution. But no, look, tell people if you think there's people that need help that might benefit from knowing the kinds of things that we're talking about on this channel, share the YouTube channel with them. Or, look, if you know someone that has an asylum case pending, I think the biggest thing that we're doing right now to help people win their case in a very affordable way is hold on, I'm going to paste it in the chat, is our asylum preparation service, which people can hire us for just to do the preparation, meaning they don't have to pay the full attorney fees, which is, ranges from like $7,000 to $16,000, depending on various circumstances. People can hire us just for the preparation for a fraction of that. It's $3,000 for our preparation services. All right. And you can find all the information out about that at asylumprep.com. Okay. Asylumprep.com. All right. Yeah, asylumprep.com. But thanks for asking, BC. Very kind of you. Спасибо большое. The payment plan on your fee for a full case at a high level. What's the process when you take a client and the payment plan with it? The payment plans, they vary depending on like the case type, but basically some of the cases are like 3 different chunks of payments, like phase, depending on the phase of the case. But then there's some case types where you make an initial payment and then you make monthly payments every month for like 12 to 18 months. So it kind of depends on the case. All right. All right. If the officer says at the end of the interview that the outcome will either be approved or NOID, 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 what does that mean? Good question. The question is this. So at the end of your asylum interview, if the officer tells you, okay, look, here's what's going to happen next. Either we're going to approve your case or you're going to get a notice of intent to deny. NOID for the first letter of each of the words, NOID, notice of intent to deny. We call it a NOID. What does that mean? Well, it means they're either going to approve your case, or if they don't, you're not going to get sent to immigration court. They're not going to put you in deportation proceedings. Rather, they're going to send you a letter called a notice of intent to deny. Now, why would they do that? This happens when you have legal status. If you still have legal status at the moment that they're making a negative decision, they don't put you in deportation proceedings. Instead, they send you this notice of intent to deny. Now, what is that? Well, look, first of all, they said that because you must have legal status. You probably have temporary protected status. Maybe you still have tourist status, student status. So they're saying, look, if it's a negative decision, we're going to send you an NOID, NOID. A notice of intent to deny is where they say, we're probably going to deny you. We're planning to deny you for the following reasons. Here's our thinking. Here's our reasons as to why we think you're not eligible. However, you have 16 days to reply to us in writing and try to change our minds. Try to tell us why we're wrong. And if you do that, we'll give you asylum. If you don't, then we'll give you a final denial, a letter that says, case denied, you don't win asylum. if you get one of these letters, notice of intent to deny, you need to talk with an asylum lawyer immediately because there's a lot of work to do to try to overcome this. It's hard. The chances for success are extremely low. It's very hard to win after you get a notice of intent to deny, but it's not impossible. We've done it. We've done it 3 times. I can think of 3 cases recently where we've won for our clients after they got a notice of intent to deny, but it's hard and you got to act quick. So if you get this letter, call an asylum lawyer right away. All right. Sud Afrikaner says, for people that overstayed their visa with an extended period of time and then filed an asylum case under change of circumstance, how often are those cases approved? So the question is this. How likely are you to overcome the 1-year filing deadline based on a changed circumstances argument? So look, if you apply for asylum after having been here for a year, you're going to get barred under the 1-year filing deadline unless you establish that you qualify for one of the 2 categories of exceptions. The 2 categories of exceptions are called extraordinary circumstances and changed circumstances. So this question's about the changed circumstances. It happens. It happens. Yeah, no, it's fact specific. You have to show that something changed in a way that makes it such that you are at risk now and that you have a better chance of meeting the asylum eligibility requirements now than was previously the case, but it's got to be in a real significant way. The change has to be something that really puts you at risk. Now, it's like, okay, now things are different. Now things are really serious. Does that happen? Absolutely. It happens for lots of reasons. A change in government, a change in your personal life that now you're more at risk. There can be any kind of reason, really. I mean, any sort of type of reason, but it just has to be something that you convince the officer that, like, now I'm at risk in a way that I wasn't previously. Now I really need asylum in a way that I did not previously. It's possible. People do it. We've had success arguing this. It's possible. All right. Oh, Haven, nice. Good to hear from you, Haven. Says I received your email collecting that. You mean requesting the info for an emergency contact? If my case has been approved, do I still need to fill it out? I would. It wouldn't hurt, just in case. It wouldn't hurt. I think you should. You don't have to. You don't have to. But if you want to, sure. It can only help, I think, for us to know an emergency contact for you, just in case we need to contact you or we want to contact you and we can't get to you. I would do so. All right. For affirmative asylum, if 2 applicants live in different cities within the same asylum office jurisdiction, does their city matter, like bigger, better, or will the officers handle both cases? Hold on, let me read that again. I didn't understand the first time. No, it doesn't matter. No, has nothing. No, the size of the city you live in, the distance to the asylum office doesn't make any difference whatsoever in terms of the priority or processing of them in the asylum office. No. Okay, Muhammad Ali says, I've got my asylum interview on October 17th. Or no, sorry. In October, and I'm 17 years. You mean you're 17 years old? What's the chances to win? What is advice? I'd have to know all about your case to tell you whether I think you have a chance to win. And if so, how good the chance is. But my advice is that you need to practice and prepare. Preparation is the most important part. Okay, the practice is the most important part of the whole thing. If your interview's in October, we've still got time for us to help you with that. If you're interested, go to asylumprep.com. Okay, asylumprep.com. I'm going to put it in the chat now. That's where you can schedule or you can find out all about. You can find out about this program, this package. All right. Okay. Varun Creations. You got you did the NOID rebuttal, and that was a month ago that you sent it in. You still haven't gotten it. You haven't gotten a final decision. Okay. Yeah. I mean, usually they're pretty quick with making a final decision after they receive a rebuttal. to a NOID, but yeah, good luck. Look, this prompts a question. You ask what could be done, right? If it gets denied. The question is this: can you appeal a final denial from the asylum office? Look, we're talking here about cases where you had legal status when you got a negative decision. And first of all, first they sent you a notice of intent to deny, and then after that, you didn't change their minds. They still thought, nope, you don't qualify. So they sent you what's called a final denial letter. They don't put you in deportation proceedings. Rather, your case just ends. It's over. You didn't win your case, but you've got legal status from something else like TPS or student status or tourist status. So you just stay here with that. You can stay here legally with that. But the question is, what about your asylum case? Is there anything else you can do? Can you appeal? Kind of. It's not technically called an appeal. It's called a motion to reconsider. You can ask the asylum office to look at it again. You can ask the director of the asylum office to look at it through what's called a motion to reconsider, and it is extremely hard to win. In fact, I'm only aware of it working exactly one time, and that was when my office won one of these a couple weeks ago. We filed a handful of them, and we've won one of them. And I've never heard of anyone else winning one. And when I was an asylum officer with the asylum office, I never even saw a lawyer try one because it's so hard. The chances are so unlikely. And most lawyers don't even know about it. They don't even know it's a possibility. So what I'm saying is there is a thing you can do, but you have to really convince the office director that like they just really messed up big time. Like they made huge, obvious errors in the decision. So it's not impossible, but it's hard. It's hard to win. But there's a 30-day deadline. 30 days from the time of the negative decision, the date on the final denial, you have 30 days to submit this motion to reconsider. So that's your option. Okay. Okay. No, it's not clear cut. Stuart Afrikaner says, okay, it's pretty clear cut then because governments in the world have identified the current government as persecuting certain groups of citizens, whereas previously didn't. No, I disagree. It's not clear cut at all. You're going to find some good reports, including from the current the Trump administration saying, "Oh, Afrikaners, are at risk." That doesn't mean you're going to win your case. It's not that clear cut. It's just not there because there's not the resources that officers are taught to rely on as credible outlets, credible resources. Don't say that. They don't indicate that there is a pattern or practice of persecution of this group. Look, I know there's problems. I studied in Cape Town for a semester once, and I've been there another time too. And so I'm actually pretty familiar with the situation, and I know its country definitely has its problems, including white South Africans, especially Afrikaners. But no, you're. I don't want you to have false expectations. It is not clear cut that there's been a change of circumstances or that you're going to be found to have a well-founded fear of persecution just by being an Afrikaner. Absolutely not. It's hard. It's not impossible to win that case, but it's not clear cut for sure. All right. You definitely need to put together a really, really strong case. Okay. This is a good one. It says, does not taking any benefits from the government while you're waiting for the interview plus having a good job get you any sort of kind of brownie points in the decision? Good one. The question is this. Does the fact that you are a sort of stable, self-reliant person, like for example, you've never taken government benefits. You have a stable job, maybe even a good paying job. Maybe you even own your own business here in the US and maybe you even employ US citizens. You're a good person. You've never had any problems with the law. Does all this stuff that makes you look good, right? Does it help you win your asylum case? No. Officer doesn't care. They don't care. They don't care that you're a good person. They don't care that you have an impressive education, credentials. They don't care that you have a good job. They don't care that you do community service and humanitarian projects. They don't care. What they want to know about is, do you meet the asylum eligibility requirements? That's what they care about. And it's super common that people, it's understandable too, that people would think like, oh, I want to impress the officer and let them know about these things that look good about me, right? It's understandable that you would think that that's important, but it's not for this case. You need to focus on showing the officer how you meet the asylum eligibility requirements. You got to know what they are, and you got to know how to connect your story to them and how to tell your story, explain your case in a clear, convincing, and impactful way. And to answer tough questions and probably hostile questions even. So that's what you got to focus on. All right. Do they treat you different between adult and minor on during the asylum interview? Mohammed wants to know. Um, the question is this: does USCIS treat minors differently? Like, say someone applies for asylum and they have their interview and they're underage, like they're under 18, like 17, 16, 14, 10. Do you get treated differently? And is it easier to win asylum as a kid? Well, look, the same rules apply. You have to show the same things to show that you're eligible for asylum. But officers are taught to uh, appreciate the fact that you're a minor in the way that they deal with you in the interview. Hopefully, they'll be a little bit less hostile and a little bit, kinder and gentler. Um, in terms of how it might help your actual case, if you suffered harm in your country, the fact that it happened to you when you were a minor is actually helpful to your case. Officers are taught that harm that occurs to a child, anyone who's like under 18, is to be considered even like more severe than it would be if it happened, the same thing happened to an adult. So it does help you in that sense. After winning asylum, must you wait 1 year before applying for a green card? Nope. Ozia Maya, you can do it now. I encourage you to do it now so that you can get in line, get in the queue. Okay. Oh, nice. Pablo, nice. Interview went well. Arlington, LGBTQ case from Ukraine, didn't ask for original language. I'm glad to hear you had a success, or you had what felt like a good interview. That's good. Glad to hear it. I couldn't tell if this was a compliment or a criticism until I got to the last sentence. Bobo SWTS says, Brian's payment plans are out of this world. I'm still paying even after I won my asylum. And right now I'm paying for my green card also on a payment plan. I love you, Brian. You're really out there to help, out here to help. Thank you. But I was reading, I'm still paying. I thought you were going to be complaining, but you're grateful. So thank you for commenting in a polite, kind way. All right. Yeah. Yeah. Payment plans can be helpful. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. We charge a lot of money because it costs a lot of money for us to do the kind of job that we want to do. I hire smart, sophisticated, hardworking people with impressive academic and other professional credentials who care about what they're doing. And it costs money. It costs a lot to hire people like that. I pay a premium. I pay my employees more than the market norm, than the market rate. Because I want to do a better job than the market norm. I want to win. I want to help our clients win. And I like to be around smart, hardworking people. And so my employees cost more. Our softwares that we use are expensive. So yeah, we charge a lot and to put together what we think is the best case possible to help you win asylum. And we do have payment plans, as Bobo says. So yeah. Success Steps wants to know, can an ICE agent arrest you with an asylum application pending? Yes. Risks are not super high. If you risk of arrest is not high in my opinion if you have an asylum case pending and you don't have any criminal record, especially if you came here with a visa, and especially if you yeah, I'm just going to leave it at that. Yeah. Seldom says, how would one prove that he left the religion of Islam, became an atheist or deist when he comes from an Islamic country like Saudi Arabia in his asylum application? This is a good one. The question is this: so how do you prove that you've either changed religions or at least changed your religious views or philosophies in a way that could put you at risk in your home country? Like, look, this happens when people sometimes convert from, like, let's say, for a common example for asylum cases is someone comes from Iran and they convert from Islam to another religion, or they just, stop being Muslim and renounce Islam. How do you prove that? Well, I mean, look, if you're converting to another religion, then there's a lot that you can talk about, and probably a lot of documentary evidence you have about that journey, about, going to this other faith and being involved in it. But it's a little bit harder if you don't really change religions, but instead you just, stop being, in this example, Islamic, or stop being Muslim and leave the Islamic faith. Um, you need to be ready to talk in detail about your own thought process. That's what they want to know. Is they're going to ask you questions about your journey, your evolution, and how you changed your thinking. They're going to start from the time that you were a child, what your life was like, what you thought about religion, what you thought about faith, and how that changed, and when it changed, and why it changed, and what it was like. Basically, they expect you to be fluent about yourself and your own experiences in the way that we would expect someone to be able to talk about, if they had been through this thing. Okay. Same thing for LGBTQ cases. Often it's like, how do you convince the officer that you're gay? It sounds weird. You shouldn't have to do that, but you do to win asylum on that basis. And, maybe you have like photos or text messages or things that, quote unquote look gay, but maybe you don't, and you just have to really be able to talk about your own experience and your journey to that, to like understanding that and dealing, how, the way that you, how it affects you in your life. Like you just have to sort of be able to talk about your internal evolution and process and life. Okay. Seldom we should talk. We've helped people with this case before. I hope you'll schedule a consultation. Go to winasylum.com and schedule a consultation, okay? WINASYLUM.com. Go to winasylum.com. We'd like to talk with you, okay? WINASYLUM.com and schedule a consultation, all right? Seldom, let's talk. Let's talk. WINASYLUM.com. We want to talk. TikTok, I neglected you. Sorry about that. How are you guys over on TikTok? Patrick Starr says, "Hi, attorney." Who is that? I can't. Do I know you, Patrick Starr? That picture is so little on my screen. Yaroslav Aslanov wants to know: can a Syrian apply for asylum now that TPS is ending? Maybe. I mean, yeah, you can apply. Look, the question is the 1-year filing deadline. We got to really understand your history, your immigration history, to tell you what the implications may be around the 1-year filing deadline. But it may be the case that you can get around it based on an exception, particularly something called maintenance of status, which fits under the exception called the extraordinary circumstances exception to the 1-year filing deadline. Okay. Thank you. Can't imagine the happiness that it comes with. Courtesy of Brian, says Bobo SWTS. That's a sweet message. Thank you, Bobo. Bobo, I forgot who you are. I know that at one point from one of these lives I knew who you were, your real name, but I can't remember right now who you are. Who are you, Bobo? You don't have to say it here if you don't want to. Don't worry. I'm not going to pressure you to say it, but how am I going to figure that out? Bobo says, you can't imagine the happiness that it comes with winning asylum, courtesy of Brian. Thank you. What a sweet, nice thing to say. I appreciate that. Yeah, look, guys, it's possible to win asylum. I don't remember when Bobo won, but I was live in Spanish right before this, and one of our clients was on there who just won asylum, who we just helped win a few days ago. And I'm like, look, I use that to point out that we're winning still. We're winning still. It's not impossible to win asylum. I know it's hard. It's hard. We're seeing a lot of bad news out there about immigration enforcement and just all kinds of anti-immigrant sentiment. And it's true. The approval rate is going down. The approval rate is going down under the Trump administration. I think it's probably going to get harder with every passing month. I do expect the approval rate to go down, down, down over time during this administration, which is just another reason why, if your case has been pending for several years, you should think about suing the government to get your interview sooner rather than later. I think it's much better to have your interview now or a few months from now after you sue, rather than to sit back and wait and maybe you get your interview in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, when the approval rate is almost certainly going to be much lower. Okay. It's the sooner you get your interview, the better in general. I think always. But now it's even more important. It's even more pronounced because the approval rate is dropping under this administration. Okay. La Victor, La Victor. How do you pronounce that in French? I don't know. I don't speak French. I wish I did. It says, hello, I have an interview on the 6th of October, 2025 in Houston. I'm looking for a French interpreter. Can you recommend one, please? Off the top of my head, I cannot think of any. No, I can't think of it off the top of my head. I'm sorry. Look, La Victoire, Victor. There's time. If you want our help, if you want to be as prepared as possible for your asylum interview, there is still time for us to help you. Okay, we're almost out of time. But if you act now, like if you go schedule a consultation with us like today, to do the consultation tomorrow or Monday, we would have time to help you prepare for this. Okay, through what's called the mock asylum interview experience. Okay, if you want to learn about that, go to asylumprep.com. Okay, asylumprep.com. All right. Wow, Mohammed, I'm super sorry to hear that. That's terrible. I'm really sorry to hear about that. I hope you're getting the help that you need to heal, recover from that. So I'm really sorry to hear that, and I really hope that you win your case. Okay. What do you want to know about winning asylum in America? Nice. Anyone else have it? Who else has an interview scheduled right now? Let me know in the chat if you've got an interview already scheduled coming up soon, or scheduled. Let me know. I want to hear from you if you've got an asylum interview scheduled. All right. Okay. Okay? We've got me says, who was that? Where'd that go? Julie or July. SF Asylum Office trends, UAC Asylum and Removal, SF Asylum Office. Latest trends, I don't know. It's harder to win than it used to be, but it's not impossible. We keep winning cases, including in San Francisco. Yeah, nice. We should talk. Okay. We should talk. I hope you go to asylumprep.com. Check it out and see if you think it looks good. If so, schedule a consultation so we can tell you more about it and see if you qualify for the mock asylum interview experience. Okay. Simran Dilon 732 says, I have my asylum appointment on October 2nd. Came legally. Can I still be detained? Do you mean you have an asylum interview with USCIS on October 2nd? Chances, if you came on a visa and you have an asylum interview at USCIS, chances of being detained there are, I think, very low. I wouldn't even worry about it. They're so low. Okay. Okay, my love says, Brian, I scheduled a consultation with you, but I wanted one sooner than what I found. Please help. Yep, we can probably do that. Look, I want you to send an email, my love. Send an email with like the confirmation email that you got that's saying, hey, it's scheduled. Forward that to info@politicalasyluምላwyers.com. Forward it to info@politicalasyluምላwyers.com and say, hey, I scheduled this, but can I do it sooner? I'd like to, I have a, whatever the reason is you need to do it sooner. If you have an interview scheduled or hearing scheduled, say I've got my interview or hearing on X date. Can I do this consultation sooner? We can probably accommodate it. Probably. Or you can just call us. You can call at 713. I'm gonna put the office number in the chat right now, and you can call us and say, "Hey, I scheduled my appointment, but I need it sooner for this reason." And then they'll inform the team that does the consultations, and we can probably get you in sooner. Okay. All right. Okay. Nice. Okay. How much would I pay for everything that you helped to win an asylum case? Bebe Knight, BB Knight wants to know. Um, question is this. So, how much does it cost to get our help with your asylum case? Look, our fees range depending on the kind of case that you have and what you want. Look, for an affirmative asylum case, a case with USCIS from beginning to end, it's like $11,000. But for a case from beginning to end in immigration court, it's $16,000 with payment plans available. But look, there's other things we can do that are kind of like a smaller service or a part of the representation that's much cheaper. The biggest and most important thing that we can do to help you win your case is the preparation, the practice part. And we do offer this as a standalone service. It's called the Mock Asylum Interview Experience. We're going to do 2 practice sessions, including a full scale mock interview or practice interview, and then a debrief kind of follow up session. And we're also going to give you access to exclusive training materials that are not available anywhere else. If you want to learn about this service, this preparation service, and actually it's what we call the Mock Asylum Interview Experience. If you want to learn about that, go to asylumprep.com. Again, this website is called asylumprep.com. And there's all kinds of, it's a huge webpage, long video at the top, lots of information about this service that we're offering if you want to get help being as prepared as possible for your asylum interview. All right. San Francisco still a good approval rating? Sanjat USA wants to know. Yeah, it's still, last I saw, it's still the highest. Yep. My interviews in Chicago. Nice. Yeah, Chicago's pretty good. It's not as high of approval rate as like Los Angeles and San Francisco, but it's kind of on the next tier where it's like Chicago, Arlington, Newark, New Jersey. Those 3, Chicago, Arlington, Newark. Those 3 are kind of usually more or less close to each other. Pretty good comparatively. Doesn't mean it's easy. Still low approval rate, but it's better than a lot of the other offices. Sound Engine Boston. Sorry, bad news. Boston's bad. Boston has a very low approval rate, unfortunately. All right. They are going to take you. Serena Diaz. What are you talking about? Who are you talking to? What do you mean? All right. Look, guys, that's it for today. I'm Brian Manning, and I'm a asylum lawyer. I used to be an asylum officer with the government, but now I use the insights that I gained on the other side of the desk to help immigrants all over the country to secure their future in America through asylum. I hope you have a great weekend. If you want to talk with us, though, look, go to winasylum.com to schedule your asylum strategy session with one of our asylum professionals. That website URL is winasylum.com, winasylum.com. That's where you can schedule your consultation, winasylum.com. All right. Thank you for being with us. I hope you have a great weekend. And look, as always, it really is. It's a pleasure and an honor to serve you in your asylum journey. All right. Have